Alright guys, welcome back. I'm loving this content because this is exactly how I was trained way back in the old school days. And we go through different lessons that will show you how to become a better originator. We talked about mindset, we talked about how to spend your time, and then we talked about how to take a 1003 and how to sell through the 1003 to get more business. Once you pull the 1003 together and you've got the client's information all in there, now you are ready to attack credit. You can't qualify a borrower without a credit report. So I'm going to show you guys how to pull a credit report, how to analyze a credit report, what to look for within a credit report, what red flags might pop up, and then how to write loan explanations. We call them LOEs, letters of explanation, for items on the credit report. If you can get really good about analyzing credit and explaining things on credit, you will close way more loans and make your team love you. I'm talking processors and underwriters. At the end of the day, you'll have a much better pull through. So spending time on the credit report upfront with the clients will save you more time in the end and help you close more loans. All right guys, welcome back. Now it's time for us to assess a credit report. Remember, applications come first, then come credit reports, because your goal is to fill out a full application and then go back and pull a credit report. You, in my opinion, don't want to have the client on the phone while pulling credit. It takes too much time. You want to get the client on the phone and off the phone, and you want to take the full application and build rapport and let the client know you'll be getting back in touch with them with any questions you have on the credit report. So my advice is, when you're going through a credit report, the number one thing that's going to cause conditions in underwriting is an application that's got holes in it and is not complete. The number two thing that's going to cause conditions in underwriting is a credit report that's got all kinds of question marks that have not been addressed. So the best thing you can do is have a rolling Word doc open as you're going through a client's credit report. And anything that's questionable needs to be explained right on that Word doc, and have the client either answer for you and sign, or you get them on the phone, walk them through the answers, and then sign it with them. So I've got for you guys today an Experian credit report. We'll just go through the basics of this. It's a free credit report that they put on their site, and they have this as John Q. Consumer, as not to violate someone's privacy. We're using this credit report to go through and analyze it. So the first thing you want to look at, and there are many credit vendors that your banks and brokers are going to use, and they're all going to cover the same basic content. The reason why it's important to ask the client their full name and full address, the last thing you want to do is pull a credit report through that's not accurate because of a typo, and have to re-pull it again and have more than one inquiry on someone's credit report for one transaction. So very first thing before pulling a credit report is to make sure that their name and their spelling and where they live is completely spelled correct and accurate. Then you're going to go into your company's system, and you want to check your company's credit reporting process. You probably get logins. It's very simple, and you pull a credit report. You're then going to have a credit reference number. I don't care if it's a free credit report reference number or whether it is a company pulled credit report. You'll have a reference number, also the date on the report. Typically, credit reports are good for 90 days, and some investors have them good for 120 days. Why is that critical? Because if a client's shopping for a loan, they'll ask you, how long is this pulled for? Or they may say, don't pull my credit report, I'm not ready to go buy a house yet. You may ask, when are you going to buy? They're going to say, well, in 60 days. Well, let's get this thing pulled now, because my credit report's good for 120. And when you actually find a home you want to buy, we don't need to re-pull it. But if we don't pull it now, we might miss something on it that's important. So pull it early. Pull it early so you can address anything wrong and fix anything. So section 1, you want to be able to identify their personal information. Next, you want to be able to navigate the sections of a credit report. Most credit reports are going to have sections broken down. You'll get their score next. This one has no score because it's a free credit report through Experian. But in a typical tri-merge credit report, you have Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. And after their name, you'll see something pop up underneath that shows their score. Most banks are going to use the middle of all 3 credit scores. And sometimes they will use, if there aren't 3 scores, the lower of 2 credit scores. A lot of borrowers might have their credit locked. You have to call them and ask them to unlock their credit report. But you got to be smart because sometimes they're only going to unlock it for 24 hours. So name and then scores is the next thing you want to analyze. If their scores are too low to qualify, a lot of banks can have you run a credit simulator, which will let you give advice to the client on how to get their scores up. So first thing, name information. Next, you go to their score. Then you want to go into their credit items, and you want to analyze each account. You want to go through one by one, and you want to review the account, and you want to address if this account, like I'm showing you here, is past due for, let's call it 60 days. Take that note and say, look, ABCD Bank is 60 days past due. First, is this accurate? Second, why? If I'm going to give you new credit, I have to explain why you're past due on ABCD Bank. Oh, maybe the answer is it's your cousin's account that you co-signed and they missed the payments and you were unaware of that. Well, if that's the case, my advice is get your name off the account as fast as you can, or get a letter explaining why you were unaware it was late. You want to go through and analyze any delinquencies, any derogatories, and write an explanation up front for why this certain thing happened. If it's a hardship, great. If it's not a hardship, what happened and why? And how do we know it's not going to continue? As you keep analyzing the credit report, you also want to go over all the accounts that are in good standing. Specifically, date account was opened, date last reported. Wait a minute, if this is an account not reported for the past 2 years, why? Because your underwriter might want to find out, wait a minute, is that account still, it says if it's open, why isn't it reporting? Because they'll want to make sure it's not negatively reporting. Look at this account if it's an installment account. A couple of quick fixes for you guys. Typically with mortgages, if you have an installment account and there are less than 10 payments left to go on this installment account, you can typically eliminate that from the debt to income ratio of a borrower. That's a great way to fix someone's debt ratio. So as you're going through your loan and you know that your debt to income ratio might be a little bit off, how you will fix that is by going deep into a credit report and finding out what can I maybe pay off, what maybe is not theirs that's a cosign that I can show is not theirs, or what maybe is an installment account with less than 10 payments seasoned on it where I can get rid of that debt. So go through each positive account, find out how much is left, verify the payments are right, and verify balances are accurate. All right, guys, that is the summary of how to look at a credit report. So let's dive deeper into the 5 most important things when you are going through the credit process with the borrower. Number 1, how to pull a credit report. Your company should give you logins to pull it through their system. Number 2, how to analyze an account, a credit report account. You want to analyze the customer's credit reporting name, you want to analyze their credit score, and you want to analyze their credit accounts. Third, what to look for. You want to look for derogatories. You want to look for things you can explain, which also include name variances. On a credit report, as you're looking at a name, maybe the borrower's name is John Consumer, but he used to have a name called John Smith. You want to ask this borrower why his name changed. Typically, if a borrower has a name change, they were typically married before. And it's not uncommon for a female to have her husband's name and get remarried and take a different last name, or even vice versa. So if a client has a different last name than is on credit, you want to address that. Why? The underwriter is looking for, were you divorced before? And is there a name change where I can go back and see maybe you had child support or alimony from your past marriage? So what to look for? Look for credit accounts that are delinquent. Look for name variances, and also look for credit inquiries. On your commercial credit report, you will find credit inquiries. So if a borrower had their credit report pulled by 5 lenders, or let's say from a car loan and a mortgage company, the underwriter will want to know, well, what the heck, did you just get a car loan? because maybe that car loan that you just got isn't reporting yet. So I need to ask you, who pulled your credit for VW and why? Who pulled your credit for Bank of America and why? And I need to write a letter explaining why your credit was pulled by different institutions. And if you have more debt out there that I don't see, I have to add that in to make sure you still qualify. Those are the red flags that are going to pop up. Things that are things I can't see, or things that the underwriter is going to call us out on. And the key then is to write all these things down in letters of explanation up front. So a super savvy, smart, sophisticated loan officer saves their deals before they become problem files. Nothing is worse than working hard to sell a borrower, get them in process, submit a file in without looking into the details, and have your file killed. So to truly be an expert loan officer, go through all your accounts, assess where there are challenges, where red flags might pop up, and for any red flag, write a letter of explanation. Because remember, if you address it early on, it's an explanation. If you get caught and you have to explain later as to why, it's an excuse. That was it. That's a credit report. That's how you look at a credit report, analyze it, what to look for, red flags, and how to explain around things that the customer will have on their credit report in their past. So becoming an expert at credit reports will make you an expert originator.